Hey everyone, I just recorded a piano Taqsim in Bayati, and I thought I'd upload something maybe a week ago on the kanun, um, but I think my video got cut short and I actually didn't end up making it public. So I might make that public, but it's kind of a halfway attempt. So I might do that again here on the piano and try to explain uh, some of the stuff that I was just playing, and it'll walk through in a similar way to what I was doing on the kanun, but maybe a little bit briefer. Got a bit meandering there. Might get meandering again. That's what I do sometimes. But I'm taking a look at Sammy's book at the page on Makam Bayati, and I wonder if that's even coming into shot properly. There we go. So there's a little like network diagram of Bayati. It's a pretty complex kind of network. And I think I almost hit everything in that improv. I went a little further even to some stuff that's not even in the chart because I was kind of like nesting. I was spending long enough time in some other areas that I felt like exploring those areas even more, like making Rust and making Hijaz and making Nahawan, like feel like they're on Maqams within Bayati. So like going on a little bit of a detour there. But I think I hit everything. I'm just looking back at it. Looks like I hit everything except for maybe making the Husseini work properly and Jiharka on 7. I think I hit the yeah. I think I hit everything else that's there. I wasn't looking at the chart when I improvised, and I wasn't even sure how many bits and pieces there were of the puzzle, but it looks like I got most of them anyway. So I might, yeah, play a little bit this time and then say what I'm doing. The tuning on the piano is something sort of custom, but I tuned it in 12 equal not too long ago, and then I moved quite a few other notes to make it to make it work better with the pieces that I was playing and the keys that I was playing particular maqams in. Um, but you can hear that it's not a traditional equal chromatic scale. There's some very obviously out of place notes, like especially probably most people would notice the B doesn't sound quite right. The B's pretty much an exact half flat, which gives us a really great rust on G, gives us a really great Bayati on A, Saba on A, and yeah, that whole family. And then the F sharp is not as low as the B is, so it doesn't sound like a fifth with B, quite. But it's way lower than the other notes would be. So it doesn't quite sound like a major third with D. It's like a little lower than it should be in equal. So this one's like 50 cents down. This one's like 30 cents down ish. I haven't got it exactly to the cent, but it's close enough to that. So there's a nice like upper rust on D. It's a nice thing that's underneath Bayati. Getting quite used to that kind of flavor as opposed to the true rust if I lowered it another 20 cents. Um, and also it's just nice to have like a couple of different flavors. They're not everywhere. 12 notes is not really enough to get everything everywhere you want. But this is a nice compromise I've been finding in the songs that I play with my band and with the keys that I've been improvising in that work with those songs and those instruments. So you get like a nice kind of rust here, or a rust with a with rust with a rust with a Bayati on top, right? Works pretty nicely for me. Um, the E flat and the B flat are raised up a little bit to give us a Hijaz, slightly bigger than 100 cents. It's almost unnoticeable though. Maybe in the order of like 5 cents, maybe 10, probably not that much. I tried to actually keep them close so that I could still use these fourths. Fourths and fifths still usable. A flat, I think I just put it close to the middle, so I could use it either as an A flat, could, or as a G sharp with Hijaz. So it's a dual purpose note. It's not really in tune with either. C sharp, I tuned to the A, pretty close to 5/4, so it gives us a nice resonance at least. That we've got one thing that sounds like JI, real nice and sweet. But also sounds like a pretty good leading tone to Nahawand, and it works as a really good Hijaz. Plus a pretty good Sabah. I had in my mind that Sabah should be higher than that, but expressively it works really nicely when it's flatter than an equal. I had like in my mind that it should be basically a Hijaz here. But it's like a whole comma and a half lower than that. And it works really nicely. Anyway, I said I was going to go through some of what's in this diagram. Just talked about intonation for a few minutes. So Bayati obviously on 1. I've got a little bit of that. I'm calling that Bayati as well. It's kind of part of Rust underneath. But there's our main tetrachord and kind of extensions over other sides. Rust on the bottom. Connecting up underneath. Rust on 4 on D. Same thing on top. Rust on 4 above, rust on 4 below. But also we could have Nahawand on top. That's real lovely too. Connecting to the Nahawand, we can have Hijaz. On 1. On the tonic that we had Bayati on. And that can connect down back to Rust. Or obviously back to Nahawand where we had it, to Bayati. Or, too many options, to Rust. Sorry. Hijaz on A, Rust on D. I don't think I used these two in combination, but I should have. That would have been nice. The only problem here is that if we've got Rust on D, it's not a true Egyptian Rust, but it's like a Turkish Rust kind of thing with this 365, 370 cent third. What was I going to say about it? Is you can't make a full maqam Rust here because we don't have the 6th. Duh. We've only got a half flat 6, and we don't have a... We've got a leading tone that's a little high. That kind of works. Sounds like Ajam, but Ajam and Rust are kind of close when we get those intonations. Crossing over. Where else were we? Ajam. So from Bayati, just kind of continuing the scale, right? From upper Ajam on F, which we can extend up to a full Ajam on F. The whole damn scale if you want. Which inside it has got an upper Ajam. Or down there. But then that could turn into its own Ajam on C. The only problem is it doesn't have a leading tone. So that's what I used instead of a full-on ajam on C the whole way, as I used a kind of fake jaharka. Haven't listened to enough jaharka to actually know the vocab, so I'm just faking it. But you can see here we've got jaharka on 3 that could be connected here, could be connected up back to Bayati as well. It's like a relative major, I guess, of Bayati. If Bayati is, then right, Bayati and Jaharka connect up really nicely. What have I missed? Bayati on the octave, of course. Hijaz on 4. This one's not a true Hijaz. It's pretty damn close, but the F sharp, I've had to compromise because I couldn't have 2 different F sharps here. If it was any higher, it wouldn't sound like Rust, but it's a little flat for Hijaz and a little sharp for Rust, but it works pretty nicely as both. Hijaz on 4, Hijaz on D, connecting up to, well, potentially Jaharka on 7 on G. I don't have really, but I do have Rust on G. A full-on Rust with the Rust, primary Rust on G and upper Rust on D. Which I spent some time with. Rust also connect here, back to Rust on 4, which is that Rust on D. So Rust on G, Rust on D, back to Bayati. That's quite nice. Hijaz on 1, Hijaz on A. I think I already talked about. Saba on A. Real expressive, real lovely. It's nice as a kind of contrast to Bayati, as a sort of variation, but also can come back to, oh, I didn't do this. So Saba connecting to Hijaz on the same tonic I did, which is really strange because this note acts like 2 different functional notes. It's acting like a third in Hijaz, like tune like a 5/4, and it's acting like a diminished 4th in Saba. So our perception kind of flips over there. I don't know if the average Arabic musician would want that to be close, but it happens to be the same note here on a keyboard. Kind of interesting. And of course, if we had a bunch more keys, I would love to have a bunch more keys on my piano. This could be a D flat, and it could be tuned in a chain of fifths way back to A. So if we go like A, D, G, C, F, B flat, E flat, A flat, D flat, it's that D flat that would get almost in perfect fifths. The Pythagorean diminished 4th anyway for the nerds. So yeah, that's the chart. Oh hell. So it always takes way longer to explain than I think. I thought I'd get through this in like 5 minutes or less. Here we are, 14 minutes in. But yeah, Bayati is like probably the makan that I've spent the most with recently. Because I don't think I really had it in my ears that much until the last 6 months or the last year. Couldn't sing it properly in tune. I couldn't really hear it as being stable. And some of those modulations were really difficult for me. So I think like, yeah, listening to some music and it playing some songs in Bayati, and especially getting into the kanun, having to move those notes around and finding my way around it as a new instrument has been super duper helpful. Um, and with Sammy's stuff, when I've been following his guides on intonation, I've usually had this a lot lower. I've had it like close to 13 over 12, like 130, 138 cents ish. But here I've got it like bang in the middle because I want it to do double duty. Because I want it to behave like a rust. Because I want it to behave like a jaharka. So there's always some compromises there. Anyway, that's most things that I wanted to hit. I might do another one of these in Rust. I might do another one in Hijaz. And hopefully, yeah, in the same tuning, just so I can show you that's reasonably versatile. It's not the exact key that would fit obviously every song. You'd need a whole bunch of different keys and modifying things, but it's been good. I've been learning piano tuning, so I've been modifying this myself. And can I show you my hammer? Where's my hammer at? All the way up there. Yeah, it's been fun to tune back and forth, to have equal temperament for 12 equal for my piano students, and then if I've got some time to kill on the weekends, tune it up like this and then play the Arabic stuff. It's funny though, you can't really go around, you can make compromises, but you can't really play your standard repertoire here. You got some chords that work really lovely, Western repertoire. Most of these are okay. Oh, it's starting to get a little wonky. Whoa. Oh. Oh, back to nice. And then. Oh. So there's like some good keys out of those and some really interesting ones. Ooh, good luck. So yeah, don't treat this like a tuning that you can just keep your piano in and keep everyone happy. It's pretty specialized. But how many notes have I moved? A lot. 50 cents on B, 30 cents on F sharp, maybe like 15 cents down on C sharp. All of these things have been moved down, and then the E flat and B flat have come up, like between 5 and 10 cents. Not that much. Probably more like 5 to keep the fifths happy, actually. And then the other notes I think have basically stayed where they are. All those naturals, pretty close to 12 equal, and A flat pretty much close to 12 equal. That's not quite what I'd planned to do, but there's a start, and I might do something similar in Rust or in Hijaz, and go from there. Oh, Seek is the other thing that I played that I kind of tried to connect up there, because I was playing Rust and G. I tried to play Seeker on B half flat. Didn't quite work. I don't really know Seeker that well, but it doesn't work for one reason, is because of that leading tone's just too small, huh? Sounds like a quarter tone. It is a quarter tone. It's like 40 cents or something. And yeah, we're missing a couple of notes that would need to make it really work properly. But you can only fight so many battles, huh? With 12 notes, we're doing all right. What was the other thing that I wanted to mention? This is, keys-wise, the reason I'm doing this on like A instead of D is I'm thinking with the kanun, those are the keys that I've been playing. I've been playing with Turkish musicians. And in Turkey, basically, Do sounds like G. So it's like a fifth, it transposes everything a fifth higher. Everything's got one more sharp than it would be in the traditional Arabic notational repertoire. So here my classic Rust on G. This would be an E half flat in the Arab world. But yeah, if you're confused about keys, just transpose everything back down a fifth, and then you should be happy. Sweet. See you in the next one. Thanks for watching.